Hey folks, come on in, let's huddle up. Here we are, following the draft, man, looking forward to next season already. And I've been getting some questions from you folks via Facebook, Twitter, BroadwayJoeTV. So I want to start answering them, give you some of my opinions about these things. We've compiled a list of questions, and Jessica, I want you to ask me the first question.
Okay, first question is, who came out of the draft the strongest in the AFC East?
Okay, well, the typical easy answer is to say, well, that remains to be seen, huh? But these teams in the AFC East, like the rest of the league, they try to fill their needs first, I would think, and then their depth. Buffalo Bills, for example, well, they went with the defensive side of the ball for the most part. Marcel Darius and the cornerback that they drafted should help them. But we're not all that concerned with the Buffalo Bills, all right? I mean, they've got a ways to go. You got the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins need some offensive help. Their defense is pretty stout, so they went right away for the center Pouncey, as well as a fresh running back, good legs, out of Kansas State. You get the main contender with the Jets, that's the New England Patriots. Well, they're tough. Folks, it continues to amaze me how they get so many drafts. They had 9 picks in this draft, along with the Buffalo Bills. Of course, Miami and our Jets had 7 picks. But how those picks turn out, again, remain to be seen. I like what the Jets did with the draft. We got a couple of guys in the defensive line that we know we need, in Wilkerson and Ellis. 2 big bodies. I love their footwork. They have pretty darn quick feet, and they're agile. The 2 receivers we picked up certainly can get on the field fairly early. It's going to depend on what we do with Braylon Edwards, Santonio Holmes, Smith. Free agency's going to come into play. So with the draft, I've even read and heard some of these analysts say the Jets got the best draft going. Well, I like to believe that, but again, it remains to be seen how these guys are going to pan out. I love what the Jets did.
Okay, which was the next question. How did the Jets do? So we'll go to the next question, was what can we expect from the Jets this year in regards to their schedule?
Oh, the schedule this year, folks, coming up. Other than our divisional teams, which should all be better than last season. Of course, New England won 14 games last season. They lost 3 all year long. But guess who they lost 2 of them to? You know that. Well, the schedule, as a team, as a player, you can't concern yourself with the schedule. Whatever uniform they have on, we're going to play them, and we got to go in with a positive attitude. For us fans that are going to be watching the games, this is another thing. We've got the NFC East to play this season, and 2 of the tougher teams are on the road. Well, Washington, they have some work to do, but we've got to play Washington on the road as well as Philadelphia on the road. And Dallas, we get it home with that other team that wears the blue and the red. I don't remember their name. We also have to go on the road to play the Ravens, which is going to be a difficult task, certainly. We play the AFC West, and the 2 games we have to travel across the country for, Oakland and Denver. Those coast-to-coast games have an influence on the physiology as much as the players and the coaches. We don't want to think so, but you fans know. It's tough going across country to play these games. So the AFC West and getting Kansas City at home and San Diego at home, it's a good thing we get those 2 teams at home because they're quality teams. We have a tough schedule, but no matter what, we got to deal with it.
Okay, so the last question is, who do you think key players are going to be to the Jets' success on both sides of the ball?
Oh man, the keys for the Jets on both sides of the ball. We'll start with our strength first, which has been our defense. Darrelle Revis, excuse me, my hat's off to this guy. Anytime you can have one player take that side of the field or take it basically away from the other teams, wow. That's big time. So I got to believe Darrell's our most impressive player over there. And the other player that I've got a lot of concern about is the guy in the secondary that's going to be calling the defenses. You know, Leonard went down with an injury last season. If he can come back 100%, that'll be great. If not, one of the other defensive backs is going to be in charge of making those adjustments in the secondary at times. Our linebackers, Scott, those guys in the middle, they're smart. They can handle it. But I think the most important guys right now besides Rivas is who's going to be communicating the defenses in the secondary. Offensively, my first thought when I think of opposing teams or opposition goes to the quarterback, the guy handling the ball nearly every offensive play. But folks, I'm realistic about this. We need those guys up front. We have seen world championships won before with quarterbacks that were pretty good, but had an excellent offensive line and defense. So to me, the most important guy on our team up front is Nick Mangold, our center, and we're going to have him. He's durable. Then you got Ferguson over here protecting Sanchez's backside. Slosson's improved big time. Moore is steady. Our right tackle position with Hunter or Turner, who's ever going to be over there, is going to be a question mark until the season keeps going. But we've got confidence in him because he filled in big time for Woody last season. So most important guys, yeah, I go to Rivas and I go to our offensive line, but of course Sanchez handles that ball every play. His passing accuracy, his decision making is very critical, just as it is for every quarterback, every team. Folks, I tell you what, now I'm getting a little long-winded here, but I do want to give a shout out to a young man I said, Well, he's a Facebook fan, and I got word from him that he was at our first Namath Dockery football camp in Vermont 40 years ago, along with Don Maynard and Winston Hill and the rest of our crew. It's so good to hear from James, man. We're still going, James. Come on back to camp again this year. Now, for you folks, keep on sending in your questions to me, all right? Jessica and I love to talk about it. Our team with BroadwayJoeTV loves to talk about it.
That's right.
So, yeah.
And keep sending in your questions to facebook.com/Joe Namath because you may make it into next week's video.
You know the ladies usually get the last word. Is that right? I'll be back at you. Ready? Break!